Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the weekly English shooting live stream. I hope you've had a shooting-filled past week and all good, shooting aside. For the regulars, thanks again for joining. For anybody new watching this, we do this every single week, 7:30 PM UK time on the English Shooting channel. It's an interactive stream, so whilst there's a few pre-picked topics, the main one being about ammunition this evening, please do use that chat box, get involved, ask questions, bring up topics, have your opinion heard. I'm all about discussion and hearing both sides of an opinion, so please put those all in the chat box and light that up. And of course, hit that like button. It's free, but it makes a huge difference to the channel. We're all about attracting new people into this sport. The more you engage with these videos, the more you like, the more you subscribe, the more you comment and engage with it, the more people that YouTube will push this out to, and hopefully we will be able to attract more people, find them, and grow our numbers. We always say it's a numbers game. The more people that we have shooting, the more people with licenses, the safer our sport will become. So yes, the main topic this evening. I don't want to be accused of scaremongering. This isn't like we can't get anything at all, but certainly over the last few weeks I have noticed certain ammunition getting harder to get, and it's not just limited to say just rimfire or just full bore or even just shotgun cartridges. There are selective shortages or certainly selective areas of ammunition that are either very expensive to get hold of or harder to get hold of, and I think there's a number of factors, and I thought it would just be interesting to sort of break it all down and look at all the different angles, because of course the gun that you have is useless if you don't have any ammunition, and certainly for any competitive shooters out there, I think it's important to maybe foresee your ammo of choice becoming difficult to get hold of so that you can prepare for the season ahead. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about a potential switch from an ammunition manufacturer that I've used for a very long time to a UK-based ammunition manufacturer, and talk a little bit about the reasoning behind that. We've also got a few other topics, not all doom and gloom apart from this one. So Hampshire Firearms Licensing did give out the date of the 20th of March that they would be reviewing the situation with potentially opening up for new grants and accepting new applications for grants for firearms and or shotgun certificate. We're going to talk a little bit about that because of course the 20th of March has now passed. Some good news and some more good content to come. I know the previous video hasn't gone out yet, but it will soon, I promise, hopefully. Tomorrow I'll be flying back out to Northern Ireland to visit Nizza. For those of you that don't know, I'll go into the details of why I'm flying out to Northern Ireland to go to this specific range, but it's a fantastic facility and they're running regular monthly matches. I was lucky enough to go out last month and I'm going to go and do the same match again. It's a club match, should be a lot of fun. And in terms of matches, we have had our first level 3 of the year, IPSC level 3. We'll get into the specifics of that again if you're unfamiliar with it a little later on, but we had the Northern Mini Rifle Championship, or the Steve Belles Memorial match, all the way up in Carlisle. So it's been a busy week full of driving and travel, and that's only going to continue over the next few weeks. So I wanted to give a little bit of a match breakdown. I'm a hugely competitive person, and aside from that, I do enjoy competition, and I think there's a lot of people that miss out on the enjoyment of competition for sort of not made up reasons, but blowing things out of proportion. So I like to sort of break down a match, talk about it, show you what you potentially missed out on so that you maybe overcome that hurdle, sign up for level 3 or above, get involved, get competing. Yes, not all shooting has to be competitive, but I think it's a great way to give more purpose to your shooting and also to develop yourself as a shooter. So yeah, use that chat box. We will come through in a bit and go through any questions or anything that you're saying. But yes, the main topic, this ammunition shortage, or aka some bits getting harder to get hold of. Now, this for a competitive shooter is incredibly important, because you will train and hone in your gun, hone in all your measurements, hold off and all that, down to how that particular round performs. And certainly when you get into high level practical shooting, the round can make a huge difference to the reliability of your gun and the way you shoot, how flat it shoots out to distance, the spread of ammunition, the consistency of it, things like that. So if you are a competitive shooter and you've spent a very long time and potentially a lot of money nailing down to one particular ammunition or one particular round, for that to then no longer be available mid-season, mid-competitive season, can cause you a hell of a lot of problems. So what shortages am I talking about? Well, I've had it confirmed from a number of dealers that CCI is becoming very difficult to get hold of, and there's been notifications saying that the next resupply is either delayed or it's going to be a lot longer than people originally thought. So there may be some difficulties. I think some people are already starting to see it in the UK, some difficulties obtaining CCI ammunition. This could worsen as the weeks or months go on. For that specific thing, well, that's all down to the US. Of course, with various new presidents, with various pandemics and civil unrest out there, ammunition and firearm sales have gone absolutely through the roof. Of course, that was now a little while ago. Things have calmed down, but we have to remember that things always take a little while to trickle their way over to our little island. And that's down to a number of factors. The fact that we have ammunition limits, so that in the UK you can't go out there and stockpile and start holding on to tens of thousands of rounds. That helps trickle or prevent or maybe prolong the period until we see a shortage. So if all the RFDs, if the distributors have good stock of ammunition, well, because you can only take little bites at a time out of it, that is going to last a lot longer. So it's not until we see these potential delays with the resupply coming into the country that we really see the ammunition shortages. So this is just maybe a delayed effect of what has been going on out in the States. Things seem to be as hard as it's ever been to get gun parts or ammunition out there. Obviously, it was a lot worse at the beginning of the pandemic. So that's really explaining I think the CCI. Is it going to be that everything absolutely dries up? Hopefully not. You just might have to travel. Your chosen gun shop just might not have it. You might have to shop around and find other people that have it. Hopefully the new shipment comes in well before supplies run dry. And of course, CCI is one that is sort of personally significant to myself at the moment, because that is my chosen match ammunition. That the CCI Mini Mag is around that, not just for competition, but I use as a baseline for all testing when I've done reviews of 2.2 rimfire rifles. I know how the ammunition performs. It's admittedly over the past few years there's been maybe more inconsistencies with it between the batches, but overall it is an incredibly reliable ammunition. And I've said it many times that usually when I'm using CCI Mini Mag, if I have an issue, my first thought is going to be the gun, not the ammunition, which makes it very good for testing. Full bore ammunition. Well, this isn't a realm, I focus predominantly on mini rifle and shotguns, so it's not like I'm going out there and buying a huge amount of full bore. But of course, ammunition manufacturers from out in the US bringing it into the UK for the same reason a CCI is getting a little harder to get hold of, maybe a little bit more expensive. Well, the full bore, the American manufacturers of full bore is going to, they're going to share the same issues. If the US market is buying it up and there isn't enough supply for the US market, the UK is quite often overlooked. And this isn't just for ammunition. I know specifically Vortex can be quite bad in doing this because we're small fry. They want to prioritize their bigger market, which is the US. So we always seem to get the scraps. We always seem to get the hand-me-downs, and the same is true with ammunition. The other thing with full bore, I haven't had it confirmed, but there's been a number of reports that specifically Triple G ammunition is getting fairly hard to get hold of because the MOD went and cleared out Bisley. Again, I don't know to what extent, I haven't had it confirmed, but I've now seen a few people mentioning this, that with what's going on over in Ukraine, obviously ammunition is quite important to what they're doing at the moment, and you could say quite arguably that us shooting some holes in some paper is slightly less important than their requirement for ammunition. So yeah, I've heard various people saying that the MOD just quite literally rocked up to Bisley and just cleared the shelf of sort of any NATO ammunition. Again, not confirmed, but enough people have been saying it that it does seem to be the case. That could potentially cause issues for obviously target shooters and people that want to shoot things like 5.56 and 7.62, not 7.62, 7.62. It's late. The native version of 308. Yeah, so the full bore ammunition is going to be, you know, same reasons as CCI, Ukraine. So I have to watch that. Again, if you're a serious target rifle shooter, make sure you've got your supply. I know within competition you have to go and buy the NRA stuff, and I'm hopeful that they haven't necessarily given all of it away and that they've held some back for all of this year's competition. And of course, Triple G will be making more ammunition. Let's see if the sports side of the sector does get some. And then shotgun. There have been specific supply issues with shotgun ammunition, and as a company, Magwell, we've seen this actually affect us most within our dummy carts. So for practicing dual loads and quad loads, we have they're not manufactured by us, they're manufactured in the UK, and they supply us inert dummy cartridges for you to be able to, and you know, obviously, which we sell on the website, to practice your loading. Well, dummy carts is one of these things that it astounds me how quickly the demand grows. Like, it's a consumable commodity, well, not commodity, it's a consumable product at the end of the day. Dummy carts do wear out, and shotgun cartridges are only really meant to be used once and not repeatedly loaded in and unloaded to the gun. So they do wear out, so people need to buy more, but we get more people into the sport, more people buying loaders, and more people buying dummy carts. And more recently we completely ran out, and it was no fault of the person that makes them for us. They had been trying for weeks, if not months, to get components out from Italy and Spain. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is, whilst we have 3-4 quite major shotgun manufacturers here in the UK, the majority of them get the majority of their components from the continent. They get them from the likes of Spain and Italy. Well, there's a number of reasons that supply chains and supply issues have arisen because, well, COVID, I know that excuse is wearing thin, but Royal Mail and a lot of firearms licensing departments seem to be using it still, and it is, in a way, whether it's artificial or otherwise, still having an effect. Brexit as well, that really disrupted things in terms of the supply chain, and let's not forget that we're not exactly the EU's favourite country out there, so there may be a bit of animosity if you have an Italian, Spanish company looking at which country that they want to prioritise and supply. We might slip down that list just a little bit. So certainly shotgun reloading components, which is what are used for our dummy cartridges, have been nigh on impossible to get hold of. We actually made the switch more recently for a number of reasons, from lead shot to steel shot. Yeah, touchy subject, I know. Makes very little difference with a dummy cart, because they couldn't get the lead shot. It was becoming absolutely impossible to get hold of it, and these big cartridge manufacturers are going to be experiencing that as well. Of course, we know, if you want to get into controversies and difficult topics, the self-imposed lead ban, or the voluntary transition away from lead, as Basque likes to label it. Basically, the companies, you've probably noticed things have gone very quiet on that front. Like, okay, COVID, yeah, sort of put things on hold a little bit, but the manufacturers are going, yeah, like if we thought it was going to be hard to make still shot cartridges previously, now with supply issues it's nigh on fucking impossible, so we're going to carry on with lead. Like, don't mind us, you can keep on talking about your 5-year plan, we're going to keep on making lead ammunition because it's literally the only thing we can bloody make. So yeah, that's that whole sort of accumulative effect is making across the board some ammunitions to get hold of. Again, I would strongly advise going out and making sure, don't go and stockpile and panic buy and things like that, because that just compounds the issue. Look at what happened with fuel a few months ago. I don't know, was it a few months ago? That was actually quite a long time ago now. How time flies. That compounds the issue, but certainly look ahead and say, what matches am I going to do this year? What shooting am I going to do this year? And just make sure you've got enough to be able to maintain that, and maybe stop the mag dumps down the range, because shit's getting expensive, yo. So yeah, I mean, looking at the match this weekend, we shot, I mean, it was meant to be 180 rounds, and we, I think, put about 250 each down range. 250 rounds of 2.2, that doesn't sound a lot, but we're doing four level 3s this year in mini rifle, so there's 1,000 rounds straight away each. Obviously Connors and I shoot together, and I think Paul as well is going to be joining us, so that could be even more, another 500, maybe even another 1,000 rounds, plus there's training. And for a company, you want to be testing things and developing things, and as a competitor, you want to be testing things and developing things. So you want to sort of make sure you've got, at least a couple thousand to at any one time, because, what you might find is, I've got a couple of thousand, I'll shoot all these matches and do some practice. Oh, wait, I've only got 200 left. I'll pop down the shop. Oh, shit, I haven't got enough ammunition to do the match. And again, this isn't widespread, because the likes of Caliber Innovations, while they've came out and said CCI is getting a little bit more difficult to get hold of, they've got absolute shit tons of Aguila. So it's not like you won't be able to find any ammunition, but CCI, Aguila, very different, performing very different types of ammunition. If you're used to one, it's going to be quite a switch going to another. And sort of on that note of maybe continued shortages or supply issues, and this is sort of a double-edged sword for Ely, so not to get confused with Ely Hawk, the shotgun cartridge manufacturer, but Ely Ammunition, that makes the 2.2 rimfire stuff, and I think they even make, is it 38 Super? They've moved into like full bore pistol calibers now, but Ely has seen a massive increase in demand because of the availability of, say, the likes of CCI and other American manufacturers. People are buying British. Absolutely fantastic. But the increased demand, it's incredibly hard for a company like that to scale very quickly. You have to think of the investment that it takes in machinery, in staff and training. They can't just switch that on overnight. So as much as I would love to see a UK company sort of take on the likes of CCI on the semi-auto front, and it is certainly becoming one of the go-to, if not the go-to, semi-auto sort of round or practical round here within the UK. They obviously need to make sure that they can still supply it. So even a manufacturer within the UK is potentially not necessarily having issues. I don't think it's supply issues. They've got all the materials, but they literally can't make the stuff fast enough. And I know that firsthand because we placed a ammunition order with them, and they've been quoted, I think we were quoted 4 to 6 weeks on it, whereas from what other people have told us, usually it's a lot quicker. So there's a lot of demand and things have just slowed down a little bit, but the supply is there. And that brings me on to potentially switching over to Ely, and this is a funny one. So I absolutely love CCI, don't have a problem with it, been using it for many years, but there are some potential performance gains from it. Connors has sort of seen this. He's talked to a number of competitive shooters and top level shooters on the circuit. They are either using Ely or actually part of Team Ely, so maybe take what they're saying with a pinch of salt. But it does seem to be a very good ammunition to go for, and the metrics and stats of it does seem to shoot flatter, and this is the Ely Action Plus, I think it is. Shoots flatter over longer distances than CCI. Now, this is all very important to the setup that Connors and I have. We run a non-magnified dot, so no magnification, a single dot, and it's the Trijicon MRO. And I say we, well, it's his battle arms, it's his setup, and I'm sort of tied into what he's using at the moment. I may get a dedicated setup for myself at one point, which will give me the option to choose the ammunition. But Connors is looking Ely or CCI. Well, he's looking Ely, so if he switches to Ely, I probably will have to switch to Ely. Nothing to say that I can't run CCI through it in a match, but it's going to be zeroed for him, and sort of the gun tuned for that ammunition. So he's starting that drive. There's the availability argument. Yes, it's on a 4 to 6 week lead time, but it is made here within the UK. There is going to be a more consistent supply than what we've seen from CCI. In the 10 odd years that I've been shooting, CCI has sort of done that. There's been fuck tons of it about, then there's been absolutely nothing, and fuck tons and nothing, and fuck tons and nothing, and that's seriously how it seems to go. And it's all down to, again, the US overlooking the UK market. So having a more consistent supply and reliable supply, that's a tick. And it will all come down to testing. If we test it and there's reliability issues, or there's not the performance increase that Connors suspects, then sort of what's the point? And I don't want to sort of beat around the bush on this. I also don't want to slag off without actually getting tested, but there were or have been issues in the past with that, with the semi-auto ammunition. What everyone is saying is that that's all in the past now. That was maybe some teething issues. At the end of the day, Ely has been very, very focused and very, very good at single shot target rounds. The transition to semi-auto is quite big, and there's a steep learning curve, and it looks like they've now got over the main hump of that learning curve. So there was a point where I was saying, like, I will stick with my CCI, thank you very much as I'd like to buy British. But now those issues seems to be aside, and looking at it logically, the top 5 shooters from this weekend, I do have the results. I did have the results. Don't know what James shoots, actually. It might be Ely. But at least, and actually I don't know what Mike shoots. Okay, the top 3 at the match this weekend, all Ely shooters. So it can't be bad stuff. I didn't see. Did anybody have a malfunction? No, I don't think any of those 3 had a malfunction. There was one shooter, I think, in the top 10 that might have been using Ely that had a malfunction, but you never know if it's gun or ammo. And at the end of the day, it's 2-2 rimfire. It's not absolutely faultless. Even every few 100,000 rounds, you are going to get a malfunction with the ammunition, just because it's 2-2 LR. So yeah, very much looking into switching to Ely for performance games, and also the supply issues. And we actually have one of those not one of the top 3, but one of the top 5, Mr. Bullet and Pixels, or Mr. Snaggerope as he's now known, who is one of those Ely Team Ely. So yeah, take what he says with a pinch of salt. But yes, that's sort of it really on the ammunition. Again, it's not like, oh my god, we're all going to die, no one's going to be able to shoot this year, there's no ammunition. But there are signs that supply issues are waning in certain points. So again, something to be aware of, something to keep an eye on. Crew, evening, simple answer, the US ammo shortage. Right, we can forget the stream and go down to the pub. Well, why go down to the pub when you can bring the pub to you? Of course, it's that time. It's the English Shooting beer review. I really need to get a sponsor for this. That would just be epic. Maybe an ammunition sponsor first and then a beer sponsor second. Then I'm just sorted. And a petrol sponsor. That would be really helpful. So tonight I'm on the Sierra Nevada Hazy Little IPA. Cracking little beer. Get it fairly easily now. I mean, Sierra Nevada used to be one of those really like odd, obscure, like American craft beers. Now you can get it in pretty much every supermarket. And yeah, this one's nice and chilled, which I have to say, whilst I'm sat here in a fucking gilet, I don't know why. Maybe it's just to cover my moobs. You know, just make me look as svelte as possible. But yeah, it is nice and cold, which is quite refreshing in itself. But yeah, highly recommend that if you're in the shops and you're looking for a recommendation. But this isn't a beer channel, this is a shooting channel, so let's get back to it. David, struggling to find Ely contact at good price at the moment. Yep, again, it's supply and demand. Demand goes up, you know, demand goes up, supply goes down, price usually you know, goes up if people know, if they know what they've got. If it's hard to get, they're not exactly going to start giving good deals on it. I know the answer to this. You're shooting it all. I'd like to think that single-handedly myself was ridding the UK of ammunition, but I might do a lot of shooting. I don't do that much. Sportsmen at Newport have upped their prices again, supply and demand. Americans daily calling Canada to buy primers. Naturally, we say no. Good on you. GMK have no deliveries for 3 months plus. So, for those of you that don't know, David is part of Caliber. It was Caliber that was one of the dealers saying that there was an issue or supply issue with CCI. 3 months is a long time. You know, we could easily see stocks running out in that period. Hopefully, they don't. It depends what GMK currently has in stock, if they have anything, and what dealers currently have in stock as well. But that is also part of the reason that we've had to sort of look at going to Ely if we can't buy it. And you know, the fact that we get it on trade, we don't want to be paying full price for it. We might be able to go into a shop and pay full retail for it. But when you're doing the amount of testing and shooting that we really don't want to be paying retail. We want to be paying that trade. And if we can't buy it from trade at a trade price, then that's a huge, you know, cost differential, and why Ely becomes a more attractive option. Very hard to find primers at present. The last 2 weeks, most places I've tried have no small rifle, for example. Captain Slack saying primers are tricky at the moment, and percussion trap caps. So yeah, this isn't like widespread. It's not like you can't get anything, but it's these like little pockets. It's very, there's no one particular reason. It's just, you know, loads of little things affecting all the little areas of ammunition, and we're seeing these sort of sporadic supply issues over the UK. Tommy Gunn, the UN does not want domestic ammunition manufacturers. That might be true, but at the moment I think the Ukraine will take anything that goes bang. Really. Can still get shell primers here in Northern Ireland. The prices are high now though, same as about everything else. 1.7 HMR okay at the moment, standard 5.6 and 7.5 shotgun cartridges aren't crazy yet. Are you going into Ely then, Judas? Again, I have to wait and see. I'll have to wait and see. I've said it for a long time. I would absolutely love to be using and buying a British-made ammo. It's just I have a very long relationship with CCI, and it's done me well so far. Yes, I'm sure the Ukrainian army is stocking up on 1.7 HMR. You laugh. Cheesecake, Triple G, 223 and 308 are sold out at Bisley. So yeah, that sort of stacks up. You know, if they've been cleared of the shelves by the US. Brass is up as well. Yeah, so, you know, A lot of people sort of confirming various areas of ammunition getting fairly difficult to get hold of or more expensive. I want to make sure you're not planning on coming over here to the US to shoot up all the ammo. That's exactly what we're doing, but we actually technically, unofficially have an ammunition partner, sponsor, friend. So I've talked about this before, of course. For those of you that don't know, it's only a couple of weeks away now that we'll be going out to the US, and being one of the stops that we'll be doing, very kindly invited by a company called Callaway Ballistics. And they've said that not only are they going to, I think this offer still stands. This was a very long time ago. Obviously, this trip has been delayed like 2 years now. But at various points have said, not only are they going to take us out on the range and show us some, or give us some freedom, they're also going to maybe give us some care packages to go off to Kentucky with, and maybe shoot some of their stuff in the matches. And, it's all quid pro quo. At the end of the day, they're going to get some promotion and exposure out of it, especially, using it in the matches and stuff like that. And I'll take every round I can get my hands on. Yeah, don't worry, I won't be clearing the shelves of your local your local ammunition supplier. Plus, the ammunition that is sort of earmarked already for us was bought 2 or 3 years ago. And David has threatened numerous times to cancel the trip, give everyone refunds, sell the ammunition for 4 or 5 times the price that he paid for it, and retire quite comfortably. I think he said it was something like 50 or 100,000 rounds of 9mm that he's got sat out there, which at one point was a significant amount of money's worth on the second-hand market. English gentleman having trouble getting Ely Hawk shotgun cartridges at the moment. Well, Ely Hawk is actually a very good example about the whole Italy and Spain thing. So Ely Hawk is a subsidiary or owned by, I think it's a Spanish company. I was talking to Connors this afternoon before heading back for the stream. I think it's Spanish, might be Italian, but anyway, it's not, as far as I'm aware, or as far as Connors is aware, it's not a British-owned company. And again, the majority of their components are manufactured out on the continent, which is, with Brexit and COVID and the EU just hating us, has stifled their supply and also manufacturing capabilities. David, need to do a video showing what the not so popular brands, what the not so popular brands run in semis. Yeah, that would, like a big selection of ammo test, that would be pretty good. Maybe get a couple of 100 rounds of each and put them through and document. I mean, it's always hard, because really you want to be putting through a few thousand rounds and from ideally a number of different batches, to be able to get a true indication of the reliability and performance and consistency of a round. To sort of cherry pick 200 rounds, it will give you an idea. If an ammunition is just absolutely fucking horrendous or atrocious, then you'll get an idea of that over 200 rounds. But there's a chance you get a bad batch. There's a million other things that could happen. But yeah, I could probably go and get a couple of 100 rounds of each, caveat it heavily that it is only a couple of 100 rounds of each, and then see how it performs. Mr. Catch a Rope, even Ely are having high demand, and rounds like Action Plus are seeing long lead times due to material shortages. So they are seeing material shortages. Doesn't bode well for us. Post Glocks for the win. Where is it? Which side is the Glock? I think it's that side. There you go. Glocks for the wins. There's your Glock. Put your penis away. I do want to. It's really annoying. I actually spoke to Jim over at Nitsa today, and it's a real shame, because they have the Glock National Championships that they're going to be running out there at Nitsa, sponsored by Viking Arms. And I would absolutely fucking love to go out and shoot it and do it. I can't remember what it clashes with, but it does clash with something, so I can't make it out there, unfortunately. But yeah, Glocks for the wins. Or PPQ. PPQs are more than acceptable. Just anything polymer. Plastic, fantastic. Next advice: what is the average cost of a 50 round box of 9mm Luger there? Just to give me an idea in comparison to the States here. The thing is, I am, unfortunately now, for somebody that regularly gives out consumer advice, I'm now like one of the worst people to ask, mainly because I deal in trade pricing, and have for a few years, so I'm grossly out of touch for ammunition. Plus, the expense goes on the company. So you know, I mean, I do the accounts, but don't spend that much time crying over the ammunition. It is an essential part of it. Let's just have a look at one. I'll just cherry pick a gun shop and see what they are charging for ammunition. I mean, my best advice, well, my best guide would be Nitzer, but I can't remember what it bloody cost us. I think we bought 500 rounds out there the last time we went, or it might have been 300, and I can't remember if I think it was £150 we spent. But I can't actually remember what we got, which is great. Well, I could tell you if this website was actually any good. I want to search. Where's ammo? So, okay, let's go. Just UK 9mm ammunition. There we go. Amozone.co.uk. Amozone actually is a place that I've used myself. I think Amozone was CNG Firearms. Let me just bring them up. Let's have a look. Let's go handgun. Magtech 9mm, £27 100. Has he got anything else? Again, £27 100. Jesus fucking Christ. I knew like Minimag had hit like £100. Again, another reason of potentially switching over to Ely. It's considerably cheaper. 357, 45. It's more Magtech. So £27 100 does seem to be pretty consistent, certainly on this dealer. 9mm Gecko 9mm. Again, £27 100. Oh, S&B 9mm, well, 9mm Makarov, £20 100. Yeah, I mean, Amazon, if it's the company that I think it is, used to or is like very competitive for ammunition. So I hope that gives you a reasonable idea of what ammunition prices are over here. Gabriel, has Magload ever thought of making shotgun speed loader tubes and brackets? Do you mean like the ones that Jerry Michalak uses? I can't remember what they're called. If so, no. Mainly because it's it's already been done. Plus, it's like just shoot just shoot a box fed. If you're going to go into open, like I'm the first one to say that like standard guns, as in tube fed guns, have significant advantages over mag fed, mainly reliability, secondly cost, and yeah, using one of those sort of speed loader rods, but they haven't really like caught on, right? I think, you know, the only reason the majority of people actually use them is because Jerry Michalak does, and the thing is, he shoots open. You know, he is an open shooter, and it was like he was always going to be disadvantaged on the shotgun, and his sponsor is Mossberg. So, like, put one on one together of why he's using those sticks. Nothing against Mossberg, nothing against Jerry, but you know, Mossberg's like, we need you to use this gun. He's like, I shoot open. It's like, your contract says you're going to use this gun. I will find a way. You know, so, or there was, what was it? It was the X-Rail or X-Trail or whatever it is. That's a car. The X-Rail, which had the like revolving cylinders and stuff like that. But then that's absolutely no fucking use because you have a start capacity, and apparently they're an absolute pain to load during a stage. So yeah, if you're going to shoot open, like shoot a box fed, it's that's where the box feds will always make up the time. Like, yeah, I think you can shoot a tube fed, ribbed gun quicker, but it's the reloading. It's the reloading that is going to always cause you difficulties. The flip side, again, in terms of shooting quickly, when you get onto buck stages or even slug stages, having some sort of optic on a box fed gun is going to help you out as well. Nothing saying that you can't put a dot on a tube fed like they do in modified quite routinely, but again, they can load 10 rounds in under a second. So you're never going to beat that. Yeah, there's some pretty quick quad loaders out there, but I don't know if someone's done a sub-a-second quad load, but then that's 4 versus 10. So even if you're the quickest quad loader in the world, you're still going to be putting 8 in the gun in twice the speed, or in twice the time that a open shooter box fed can put 10 in. So that's just always a way up there. Bullet and Pixels, that rope was following me. For those of you that don't know what I'm saying, I'm actually going to it's what is it? It's in. Oh, it's not in the free domain. What's the public domain? It's in the public domain now. Let me go and find it, because he's now furiously scrambling through his account to remove this video. So we were going to talk about the match. I'll fast forward that. I was going to leave it until the end, but it was certainly the highlight of my weekend, if not the week. And Mr. Bullet and Pixels had a little bit of an issue. So this was stage 8. Actually, I think most people's favourite stage overall. And you can see here familiar looking faces. That is the back of my head, which maybe isn't that familiar. That's also the back side of Connor's, maybe more familiar to some people than others. But this is stage 8. You had to start over here on the left hand side, aperture there, middle aperture, which activated a swinger which is behind this drum here. Let's enhance. So you've got this drum here, pulls a rope. Now, I mean, you could forgive someone for doing this once, but for doing it twice, shame. So Mr. Bullet and Pixels, or more commonly known as Mr. Eliway, you can see what's going on here. He's pulled that rope a little too hard, caught it on the back of his on his belt, which, as he moves over to this aperture here to engage as a target over the back here, it ends up snagging. Now, it was at this point that I think Connors was waiting or just hoping that it sort of untangled and fell off. But it was at this point, he knew he'd fucked up, but it was at this point that Connor was like, look, if he shoots back, because you've got to move back, there's a final shooting position just out of view on the right hand side. If he rushes back on that, he could end up on the floor. What happens to the gun? So safety is always paramount. You never want to make a shooter reshoot a stage, but in the interest of safety, it just wasn't worth playing it out, and the potential for disaster to strike. So yeah, ends up getting snagged. Connor's had to call stop, and I do have to say, Tom, I felt really bad. Like, whilst obviously you got to do the reshoot and it went fine in the end, no shooter likes to hear those words of stop, because usually it's you fucked up, you're going home, it's DQ'd. So Connors is very good, and I have experienced a couple of stops from Connors. The first one was actually a safety stop, and the first thing he said to me, and the first thing that he said to Tom, it's stop. Don't worry, you haven't done anything wrong. And then, as a competitor, as a shooter, you can breathe a sigh of release. So yes, I don't think, Tom, that you've actually put it out on your page yet. But the reason I say it can't really be forgiven is because on his next reshoot, he did the same thing, this time wrapping it around his leg. Now, I hate to make this comparison, but the only other shooter, the only other competitor that weekend to get snagged up in that line was Mr. Silverstone, Mr. John Thorne. I mean, at least you're not using a vector. That's all I can say. But yes, in for a penny, in for a pound, we'll talk about that match. Annoyingly, I have to get all my footage approved. I will be raising this with UKPSA because I understand when I first started making videos, I was one of the only people actually putting out match footage. But now it's got a bit ridiculous. I don't really know what they're preventing in having this review process for just my videos. But anyway, that is their wishes, and at the moment, and I will abide by those. But anyway, I've got some Gucci pictures of the match. So these are actually, it's 8 shooters, but it was meant to be the top 10, but 2 of the shooters, I think one of them doesn't like being on Facebook, and the other, despite running several YouTube channels, and I think he is here, yes, he is on one of those channels, Mr. Mochaccino, despite running several YouTube channels and social media accounts, didn't take any fucking photos or video. So a big sort of honor, pride thing for Magload, the top 10 shooters, and I think, unconfirmed, but I think actually even down to up to, and not over, up to and including 14th place, the first shooter in the results not to be using Magload products was actually again Mr. John Thorne in 15th. I'll say that again, he came 15th. I blame the gun. But anyway, some stills, allowed to put stills out of the match. So a team Magload shooter, Ben Ducker. I think this was over on stage 5. Stage 5. I'll be doing, as I normally do, a full match video. That's James Williamson of Team Williamson. He's running. So I'll go through what guns they're using as well. So this is the top 10. So to give you an idea of what sort of equipment they're using, what sort of setup, that is a Caliber Innovation Syscar converted to 2.2 with a CMMG conversion kit. And Ben's running the Razor Gen 3, Razor HD Gen 3, and I believe it is a Vortex red dot at 45 degree of some type, also running the worn scopes. Of course, a very heavily mag-loaded gun, and yes, Ben is a mag-load shooter, but as you can see, and I'm going to shoot myself in the foot here, not literally, hopefully, but we do make a 2.2 muzzle brake. He just happens to like another one. He doesn't just use kit just for the sake of using kit. He will only use it if he feels there is a benefit. Now, I think the main reason he uses that brake is because of his 223 setup, and we don't make a 223 brake, and he wants to keep things as consistent as possible between the guns so that they feel very, very similar. Part of the reason he's using a Syscar, because you can also get a Syscar in 223 as well. James Williamson, so he's using a Tipman. I think that's the Tipman it's the M4. I don't know what specific variant. Again, very heavily mag-loaded. This post was like the top 10 are all using mag-load, so that's a consistent theme here. And I believe, is that a Vortex Spark? And I believe another Vortex on 45. Interesting. I didn't notice this on the day. So how like focused I am either on competing or filming. I didn't realise he was running a dot or 2 dots. That's interesting. This seems to be catching. Of course, this is myself running this is the Battle Arms lightweight, heavily mag loaded. It's a CMMG conversion kit from a 223, but it is a dedicated 2.2 barrel. We're running the Trijicon MRO. I think it's a fantastic scope. I think certainly for a competition like this, when there was nothing outside of 30 meters, a single powered red dot, I think is the ticket for this. I think it's fast. Most of the people this weekend spent the time shooting with their gun at 45 degrees, and I'm like, what's the fucking point? Just run a single dot. You really didn't need a scope this weekend overall. And very heavily mag loaded, including a number of products that haven't been released yet. We've got the AR-15 mil-spec handguard that will be coming soon. A load of internal parts. So we've recently just released a CMMG conversion kit bolt weight, CMMG firing pin, or that's of course being run in all of that, ambi safety, prototype grip. They will be coming at some point. Please stop emailing. And the battle arms, obviously Magwell and extensions and that and the other. Stego running a Lantac LASF 15. Yes, I may shit on Lantac for their customer service, but they do make fantastic guns. I will get it out there, and I think the LASF 15 is potentially the best overall that they make in terms of performance and value. Again, using mag load, and is that a SIG scope? Again, I clocked it during the day, but I can't remember exactly what it was. And interestingly, I didn't notice that as well. I think that's a shield dot very far forward. Usually you see the red dot further back on that. Russell Hicks, not the best photo, but the only one that I could get. He was running a Battle Arms, and I think that's a Vortex Gen 2 PST. Jim Starley, who won the match overall. Fuck knows what's going on with his optics there. I mean, he must know what he's doing because he won the bloody thing. But a Battle Arms, he's running a CMMG bolted Battle Arms. Again, lots of mag load goodness on there. I can't remember or make out what scope he's actually using. I think it might be a Trijicon. But yeah, Team Ely. Kelvin Leeton, again, Battle Arms, CMMG converted, lots of mag load goodness. He's running a Gen 3 Razor HD as well. Mr. Bullet and Pixels, aka Tom Ellaway, again a Battle Arms. There's a consistency here. Like I will be making a video at this at some point. The Battle Arms is proving to be a very, very popular rifle in competition at the moment. But yeah, Battle Arms with CMMG conversion kit. With a Gen 3 Razor HD on there, and then we're back to Ben. So yeah, that's sort of a little selection of what people are up to. Let's get rid of those. Of course, as you can see, Connor's had a fantastic day. He was beside himself with happiness. That's what I've got to deal with. So I think this was the day. Don't worry, it's just a vector. It won't bite. It won't bite. I do feel really bad, but the guy and I don't take glee in doing this. If it was John's gun, lots of glee, but this vector was having no end of issues, and the guy sort of came off the stage. I think saw me and was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" And I was like, genuinely, like, you're having issues there, and he's like, "Yes, I know what you're gonna say, but this gun has worked flawlessly up until this competition." So I think vectors are just competitions shy. Maybe, again, I say they're, for me, absolutely great plinker. I really wouldn't mind having one just for a bit of play, bit of plinking. I just don't see them as competition rifles overall. I mean, John will say, yeah, once you've done this, and this, then it will get you 15th. But, I would rather go down the 1522 route, or Battle Arms or something like that. And I do like to see this in the racks. Loads of mag load on the guns. This was a number of stages, so I think this was 5 and 6 and 9 and 10. So lots going on. This was one of the longest stages of the day, and actually a recurring nightmare for me now. So yeah, ended up losing a fuckload of points on one of the longest stages of the day. Ended up costing me about I think I worked out about 60 points. I had a failure to extract. I think it was just, you know, where Connors and I are both using the same gun. The gun had gunked up. Yeah, or you know, bit of debris gets in there. It's just one of those things, but it ended up costing me a fuckload of time. And I ended up picking up 2 deltas because once I'd cleared the jam, I had 1 target left. I just absolutely blatted at it, and yeah, 2 deltas. So I sort of shot myself in the foot on that one. But yeah, very fun stage, lots going on down the back. You should hopefully see that all in the video. And now we're back to Connors. Go away, you've seen that photo, I think. Yeah, so you know, in terms of the results, nothing huge to write home about, but a solid 7th. I'm very consistent, so I tend to either get 7th or 8th. But I had noticed I felt much better with my performance this weekend. But the competition have stepped it up as well, which is just fantastic. Although I think this is the smallest. I mean, it's still, you know, 20% to first, but that's the smallest margin so far. So in myself, I'm improving, and I can't complain about that. I wish James Williamson hadn't turned up though, because yeah, he pipped me by 0.4 of a point. You know, that's one Charlie instead of an Alpha, or 1 Delta instead of a Charlie, or whatever. Incredibly close margins, but I'm coming for you, Tom. Don't you worry. So yeah, that's sort of the only sort of review of the match that I can do at the moment, because I need to get the footage approved, and I think I need to cut it down, because unless somebody wants to sit through 2 hours of raw footage, then I have to give them something a little bit more compact. But yeah, it was a fantastic match. It was, I would say, quite a straightforward match overall. There wasn't a lot of variation that you could do a stage. Usually one of the biggest challenges, or also one of the big enjoyments of IPSC shooting, is really having to switch your brain on and really think and break down a stage. And the amount of times that, you know, you'll get 90% of the competitors through a stage, and then one will figure out this just absolutely ballistic way of doing it, and everyone's going, "Oh, you fucking wanker!" Like, I wish I'd seen that. You know, you can see a target from a different position that no one else has seen, or there's just a different, you know, combination of ways of doing it. These were like, it was sort of like you shot it where you saw it, but there was a good amount, I think, you know, no real sort of long range stuff, again 30 meters, but it was all on micros, apart from 2 stages that were using minis. And I mean, micro targets are, well, the name says, you know, a full size IPSC is, you can't see that, can you? Yeah, they're quite big, and micros are absolutely diddy. So a little bit of challenge there, but I felt they did I come away from all the, I know a lot of people put a lot of time into these matches, and I've come away from every level 3 last year and so far this year with a massive smile on my face. But a criticism of Basildon last year, and there is going to be another Southern Championships at Basildon, it was very gallery shooter. You know, they had really tight micro no shoots, and it was like, that's where a dot really falls down, and you just felt like you were shooting a gallery match most of the time. With this, whilst they didn't have the distance, there was still enough that it was quite technical, but you weren't just stood on the spot shooting at a target. And even the stages where there was a bit of that, they were the shortest stages of the day. So, you know, there were lots of positions to shoot from, targets that you could go really bloody quick on, some that you did have to slow down a little bit for. So a nice balance, not particularly taxing on the stage plan brain, but yeah, just some really solid competition to start the year off, and looking forward to the rest of it. Bullet Pixels, Jim runs a March scope. Thank you for that. Mochajuno, sorry I didn't take any footage as I wanted to focus on my shooting. Filming and shooting is like moonlighting a second job during your first job. Bitch, please. So, drove up there Friday night, got there in good time, but I was there Saturday morning with everyone else to shoot. I filmed my squad whilst shooting the entirety of the day and then filmed Sunday. You just need to man the fuck up, right? And I beat you. So, you know, you can't touch this. Well, apparently 6 other people can, but you know, if the camera is that much of an excuse, is it worth 20%? It's got to be worth at least 10. I haven't been able to go to a match and just focus on the match for a good 4 years. So suck it, Mochaccino. Your excuses are not valid here. Love you, really. I took the 3 times magnifier off my rifle for the whole match. Made little point trying to waste time magnified on me. Yeah, absolutely. Bullet and pixels. I didn't use my red dot at all this weekend. Just your LPVO on 3 times mag. Oh, okay. I really think it suited a red dot that match overall. I think you could have been even quicker if you'd have just used the dot. But again, you're shooting at 45. But yeah, Stego, shield, SMS, turret's too big to have on the rail. Okay, fair enough. And so I said I didn't know what Steve was using, and he's come in and said it's the IOR Ghost shield, SMS, turrets are too big to have on the rail. So you would have it mounted further back. It's sort of not by choice to have it mounted forward. Daniel, 9 months waiting for your battle arms. Yeah, tell me about it. Longer wait than that. Lantac. Moving on. Pete Jaggins, I'm left-handed. Well, thank you. I guess you're having a conversation with anyone else. Mochaccino, I got beat by a senior. How do you think I feel? To be fair, Russ, I think in both the matches last year beat me, so it's nice to finally get one in there. Yeah, I mean, you know, the ultimate flex is that, you know, I don't have a certificate or my own gun. You know, just gonna use that one again. I think that's like the 3rd or 4th time I've said that since the weekend. But you know, I don't practice. My matches are my practice. I don't have my own gun, and I don't have an FAC. So you know, anywhere in the vicinity of me on a scoreboard should be quite ashamed. You should try harder. I'm just highly motivated by rage and contentment. But yeah, fantastic match. And you know, just to add, I would highly stress, there's so many people that I consistently hear. I was talking to somebody else at the match, and they were saying the exact same thing, that members in their club say the same thing. So many people say, oh, I don't want to go to a level 3. I mean, fair enough, I was not necessarily in the same boat, but I wasn't really aware of the UK PSA. I wasn't really aware of IPSC. I was just doing sort of club stuff and was more than happy with that. And then when people were like, oh, there's this like really structured competition and there's, you know, loads of rules and this, that and the other, and I was going, rules, I don't want any of that. 3-gun, mate, you know, just blag it. But no, I was not necessarily put off doing it, but it didn't seem, you know, as soon as you start bringing more rules into something, that normally negates the fun. But no, I would put that aside. The reason I'm a complete convert now, the whole thing about the structure and the rule base, it's about fairness and consistency. And actually, when you're in a competition, and this is actually one of the biggest criticisms that people have on NRA matches, is that they sort of have a butchered IPSC rule set. Targets aren't calibrated, and you know, there's, you know, IPSC stages have to be balanced. They're not always 100%, but there has to be an effort to balance a stage for both left and right-handed shooters. Yeah, try seeing that down at the NRA. But they it does make it for a more enjoyable experience, because it keeps everything fair. If somebody beats you, it's usually, apart from the multiple excuses that I can, you know, roll out at any given moment, is usually down to the fact that on the day they were a better shooter. So, you know, and you can go away and know that actually it was either your equipment or yourself that let you down. It wasn't that one plate that just happened to fall over for one shooter and for nobody else. The other thing about the enjoyment factor, or what seems to put people off, is, you know, they think, oh, it's a really serious high level match. You know, yeah, it's a national level match. There are people there taking it really, really seriously. But actually, if you pull up the results, I know it's on practice score, I think. And I'm not gonna do this to. Oh, I don't know if I can actually, because I've shut down my. I don't know if I can bring it. I know I won't do it because I don't want to like name and shame anybody. But there were people, I think, that got like 20% off of the winner, right? And if you go up to the majority of those people, unless they've had a really, really bad day and they should be a 80, 90, 100% shooter, but the majority of the people that are, you know, coming in the bottom 10% of a match, they're usually some of the most happy, you know, the happiest, because they themselves, they either know that they're developing, or they know that they're literally just there to have fun and it's pressure off and they can enjoy the day. So you can still go there and have a huge amount of fun and don't have to take it seriously. It doesn't matter. Just don't get DQ'd. That's, you know, what I say to a lot of people starting off in, you know, in IPSC. Just your first match, just focus on that. You're not going to win in your first match. So, you know, don't try. Like, just don't worry about that. Just think about all the safety elements. Just get through it and you will enjoy it. Take the pressure off yourself and go and enjoy it. So anybody that says, I don't want to go and do it because it's too serious or it's too much pressure or I don't want to embarrass myself, it's absolute nonsense. You should get signed up. You should do it. Obviously, you need to get safety course. There's plenty of those being run up and down the country, not just by us at Magwell, but, you know, people, I mean, Dave Smith up in North Coast Butts, I think Dominic Funn, who actually helps run some of our courses, he does them up in Cambridgeshire. There's safety courses at Lambraddock, so Pro Shoot Firearms, and if you're up in Scotland, either the Recoil guys or I still can't bloody remember the name of it. I had like an aneurysm last week trying to remember the acronym. The match, the range at which the match this week took place, they run safety courses there, and then also over at Dumfries. So there's no excuse. Go and get that competition license. Throw yourself in, and if you come, you know, 10% off of the top shooter, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I did the full, apart from one match that I missed, I did the full shotgun circuit last year with a section 2, right? I was not there, or I would like to, you know, I have delusions of grandeur of winning with a section 2. I'd never be able to get myself through a door ever again. But like, I know there's no way that I'm ever going to win or come even close to it with a section 2. So I'm there to enjoy myself, to get that match experience, to go shooting for the weekend and have a very set out purpose to do it. So yeah, we say, you know, in terms of if you need a point of entry, Connors and I are your men. Oh, that's getting gift, isn't it? Fuck's sake. I'll be in Discord later. Thank you very much, Arian. But anyway, if you would like help in entering, if you would like guidance on getting into the sport or getting into a level 3, then drop me a message on EnglishShooting or send an email to Magwell. There's a contact form on magwell.co.uk. We're not just there to sell your shit. We're there to sort of help new people get into the sport. That's what we're all about, to make it as easy and understandable as possible. And if you literally want somebody to hold your hand through the entire process of getting that competition license and turning up to your first level 3, we will be more than happy to help you out where possible and, you know, start that competitive journey. I will warn you, it's a slippery slope and you'll have far less money than before, but you'll be enjoying yourself, and that's what all that matters. Tommy Gunn bringing in Still Challenge to my club this year. That's awesome. Still Challenge is just like, I love looking at things that are like ultimate introductory areas of the sport. That's why I love the mini rifle ranges, you know, the likes of Double Juices or Phoenix up in Barnsley, because it's like mini rifle is like the least offensive area of the sport, right? It's incredibly hard, apart from if you look at Full Metal Jacket. We'll ignore those. They don't exist anymore, so moving on. You know, there's like no recoil. You know, they don't make a loud boom. You know, it's more of a crack. The guns are usually quite lightweight, which means that most people of any age or ability or disability, you know, male, female, whatever, they can pick one up easily and control it and enjoy it. They can pull a trigger, send some lead down range. So, you know, speed stills for me is, you know, I don't want to piss any serious speed still shooters out there, but I see it as a potential. It is its own sport in its own right. Don't get your knickers in a twist. But it's definitely a good stepping stone to the likes of IPSC mini rifle, because there's no, well, apart from the 2 shooting box stages, which I can't remember what they're called, which is only a very basic movement. There's no movement in it, so you're stood there, nothing really to worry about, and it's always incredibly satisfying hearing that ting. So yeah, speed stills is a really good introduction to practical shooting overall. You know, that's, I think more clubs should be doing it. So props to you for getting it in the club, because it's really simple to explain. Anyone can do it with a very quick 5-10 second introduction, and it's really easy to start, you know, competing against your friends, because it's just all time based and this, that, and the other. IPSC gets a lot more complicated with the points and Comstock scoring and all of that. Wonderloaf 53. I feel a bit dirty. I didn't think you were that old, and you're mingling with us young'uns in the Discord. Actually, I'm quite impressed. I'm quite impressed you can run with the younger ones. I say younger ones. I'm 30, so it's not like I'm that young anymore. Why do I feel dirty that you're older? Maybe that just builds into my fantasy. I don't know. Again, if you need a point of entry, Connor's and I are your men. Anyway, Blackstone 45. Someone's got to make up the numbers. I don't know if they were saying that in general or taking a dig at someone. If so, meow. But yeah, I did. Sorry, you've just remembered. You did say about coming back over. Of course, that is one of the points to talk about. NHTSA, I really don't know if you. This is another reason to get into practical shooting and IPSC shooting and joining the UK PSA overall. Is going over to NHTSA. So taking advantage of that this weekend. So flying out tomorrow on a reasonably late flight. Staying over there, driving up. So it's fucked at the moment. It used to be so easy going to NHTSA because I'm based down on the south coast between between Southampton and Portsmouth. I used to live in Fareham, don't anymore. But yeah, Southampton is like 20 minutes down the road for me, and well, Eastleigh Airport is Southampton Airport. And it was really dirt cheap to fly out to Northern Ireland, really quick and simple. I could usually get a family member or a friend to drop me down there or drop us down there. And then Flybe went under, and yeah, that fucked it all up. So we now have to get like ridiculous flights. So last time we ended up flying from Bristol to Dublin. And then we sort of realised, why the fuck are we driving 3 hours to Bristol when we've got Gatwick effectively up the road? So this time we're driving up to Gatwick, flying out to Dublin, because flying direct to Northern Ireland was like 5 times the price. Go figure. And then driving up from Dublin on the Saturday morning. I think it's only like an hour's drive to NHTSA. Be doing a little bit of training in the morning. So Action Air Extraordinaire, Mr. Paul Wyborn. He is the UK standard champion, and I think, was it second or third junior in the previous Action Air World Shoot. We have high hopes for him and would very much like to transition him over to full bore handgun, I think he would very much, whilst action air is still going to be his main focus, he wants to get involved with full bore handgun. Who wouldn't? So we're actually going over there so that he can do his safety course and competition. It's not a safety course, he's already got it for the action air, but do the conversion up to full bore and get a bit of hands-on time with a full bore pistol. So I'm going out there with him. No Connors this time because he is running a safety course this weekend, which actually, he's done. That's what he was doing tonight. He was doing the course for it. I was going to say last chance saloon, you can get signed up for it, but he's running a safety course. I mean, look at me. He's there working hard, doing a safety course over the weekend, and I'm jetting off to Northern Ireland to shoot some handgun. It's tough. I mean, he offered to go and do that instead, and I was like, no, I know how you hate handguns. Don't worry, mate. I'll fall on this sword. I'll go with Paul. Like, I insist. Other than the fact that I'm not a qualified instructor, so he sort of had to go and do the safety course. Maybe that's maybe I shouldn't become an RO and an instructor. Just go to NITSA all the time. But anyway, I'm going over with Paul. We will be filming it. Well, I will be doing some filming, but seeing as I haven't got the previous video out yet, maybe I'll edit that one while we're out there or I'm on the plane. But yeah, I won't be. I'm not filming it to make a video as such. I'm filming it. I'm doing some filming for NITSA while I'm there, and then yeah, I'll get the video that was meant to be out last few weeks ago out very, very soon. But yeah, if you want to learn more about NITSA, I think the email address is handgun@ukpsa.org. But yeah, you can drop that a line. There are guns out there for members to go and use. Go and use them. Major Jim, the first and only practical match I've shot was a level 3. Very nearly got DQ'd, but it was so much fun. Like, very nearly DQ'd, fine. That you're pushing just the right amount of but yeah, good. You enjoyed it, which is the main point. Carl Volt, never be afraid of big matches. I shit posted my way into 2 world shoots. And actually, more credit, Carl. You RO'd them as well. So, well, you weren't. Were you ROing or you assisted? But anyway, you worked the match. So, to me, you weren't shooting it at the very least. I mean, I was there filming for the whole week, and no one offered for me to shoot. Went all that way. Literally drove all the way to fucking Sweden, and didn't shoot a gun the entire time. Why do I do it? And again, Macchino's going, oh, I didn't want to take the camera because I wanted to focus on my shooting. Man up. Nobody cares about your performance unless you're beating them, in which case you're all good. It's very true. Yeah, everyone always looks above, don't they? They always look up on the results. It's never, well, there's a couple of people that I like to, oh, they came down in 15th, oh, with a vector, oh, surprise. Yeah, so there's a couple of people, that if they're down in the list, I'll look for them, but you always look up. It's, I'm very much, okay, they got that result. How did they get that result? What do I need to do to close that gap? And again, this is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with spending your whole life just going down the range and plinking. Completely understand it. More power to you. But for me, there becomes a point where, like, I want a purpose for it, and that's how I got into competition. It's like I want to measure myself. I want to see where I'm going and work on that, and give me an aim while I'm down the range, whether that's, working on reloads or, time to first shot and things like that. And, edging away on performance, and, competition is the best way to measure all of that. The smoke, I had no idea you could even shoot in the UK. My mind's blown. I'll blow your mind some more. Again, for point of entry. Connor and I are your men. I'm just assuming that you've never seen practical shooting, but just for anyone that might be sat there, you know, like Wonderloaf, saying, let me go mini rifle UK. Find one of my own videos. Bit of self-promotion, you know, why not? For those of you that actually like, I've been talking all about this match. Why is there sound? Shh. I've shown this on the live stream before. Some of you may have not seen it, but anyway, this was the Welsh Mini Rifle Championships last year. I'm trying to get rid of that black. There we go. Just zoom in a little bit more. So the reason Mini Rifle was actually created was because obviously we can't have full bore semi-automatic rifles here in the UK, which is, you know, rifle is a division of IPSC. So because we can have semi-automatic to 2 rimfires, Mini Rifle was created, and you know, it's basically to simulate. It is its own discipline, you know, that it has its own world shoot, and well, it's going to have its first world shoot at the end of next year, hopefully. But yeah, like, it was created to simulate full bore rifle. It just so happens that it's its full discipline now. But this is all in the UK, and we do something very similar with shotguns. It's all practical based, so it's time and points scored. This was just, I mean, Lambradix is just so lucky with the topology and the, you know, you can, like, there's nowhere else like this in the UK, and I think for this match they really used it to full effect. You know, the likes of like Carlisle and Dumfries for this Northern Mini Rifle and the shotgun match, and even Basildon to a certain extent, they're incredibly limited. Oh, that's that was the RO getting a neck full of brass there. They're incredibly limited with the space, and you know, a hell of a lot more effort goes into actually using the tight space to the fullest, and you know, and props. It is a harder job, but when you've got topology like this, when you've got a range like this, it just leads itself to just great stages. You know, proper long running gun stages, and you know, even these tighter technical stages. You know, not a huge amount of distance, but you know, they're long. You are moving from left to right. I think even on this stage, yeah, that was like the entirety of the most moving that we had at the competition at the weekend. So yeah, all of this is UK. You can come and do this. Gotta love you, Dan, rocking the English shooting right there. You can come and do this. You just need a safety course. You need a competition license. You can go and get it, and then you can join and take part in a match like this. And it really doesn't matter, like, whether you come first or you come last, as long as you don't get DQ'd, as long as you're having fun. That's what it's all about. But yeah, this is all completely legal. This goes on throughout the year. And yes, in the UK we can own guns. I really enjoyed this stage. Don't know if it's necessarily my favourite stage, but it's like a mix of technical, you know, bit of speed, bit of. Well, I wouldn't say there was any blaggy on it, but a lot of movement. I like stages that you're moving around in, even though that this was, you know, really quite a tight technical with the Cooper tunnels. Yeah, this was in a car. I don't think I ever gave like a proper breakdown of this match. This match that stage was like okay, but it was a small stage, but nice that they had a bit of furniture. The next stage can suck a dick, just royally choke on a dick. Really, like, I really like the stage, but yeah, single power red dot, 100-yard target with no shoots. I lost a huge amount of points on this stage last year. A little bit of close up there on the targets. Yes, you are like basically shooting at your feet, completely completely fine. And this next stage, this was one of my favorites. Unfortunately, did have a malfunction due to the magazine on it. But there was loads of running. This was like a good distance. Like these targets were at an okay distance. Again, fairly tight no shoots, which I ended up getting. The no shoot sort of bogged me out, and I ended up shooting over the top of it. So again, lost loads of points. I need to learn to trust the dot. I'm doing that even more. We go through the matches. This was actually, I think, just after the jam. Wasn't going to show the jam, and I was not happy. If you saw how quickly I unloaded there, I was like, fuck this shit. And this stage, I did really like this stage. Again, just movement. You're just moving with different firing positions, a bit of running, bit of speed, but they've got this huge open space. You're shooting right to the left of you, moving around. You're using that full 180 degrees, which can be rare at some matches, but you know, they're lucky that they've got it. So I would so recommend, just if you're only going to shoot one, and again, I don't want to like put down all the others, because you should be shooting them all, but just going to Lambradix and experiencing those stages. See what I mean? He pips me that's what I was saying. Russ ends up above. Got him back once, but anyway, yeah, that was Lambradix last year. I think for most people it was a highlight of the competition calendar, and they're getting very close to filling up already. So if you want to get on board with that, I would get signed up as soon as possible. Andrew, how come it's difficult to join the UK PSA system? I think it could be more easy. I don't know. Is it difficult? I just go online and sign up. Let's go on to the UK PSA website. UPE PSA, join, becoming a UK. I thought there was just, if you're a lapsed member, new applicants, new membership application. Okay. So I'm probably not going to be able. So it was before. I haven't used this system before. What's difficult about that? You put in your details, you press go, and then I guess you get a payment link, and then you get accepted. I don't know. I don't actually know what the process is, but this is new. Last time, I think you just did like an online form and sent it off and made like an online payment, and then you were done. But you know, the other benefit, and I always go on about insurance, the UK PSA membership now does come with revocation legal expenses insurance. Big plus to have, and also covers you. I think there's public liability insurance that covers you for all practical shooting, which does include speed stills as well, or it's any pursuit. It doesn't necessarily have to be a match. Of course, like with any insurance, there's caveats, but anything practical based, like not just matches, training and stuff like that, you're covered by their public liability. Again, like, I think you're stupid for not having legal expenses insurance. Trust me. But yeah, the public liability, it's like you're an app. Just you need to have it, because I'm never gonna injure somebody, or I'm never gonna have an accident, or this, that, and the other. That's what everyone says. At the end of the day, like, why do you have house insurance? You don't have house insurance for when your house burns down, because for the majority of people, that's, luckily an experience that nobody has to. No, they don't have to experience. You do it for that if what's home insurance, like 100 quid, 150 quid a year. It's like the amount of money. Was it more than that? No, I think it's more than that. Maybe it's like 200-300 quid. I can't remember what I pay a month. Anyway, it's a few hundred quid. It's a year versus your mortgage. So it's better to have it and not use it than. No, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Tommy Gunn, mag restrictions. In terms of practical, Well, with mini rifle, 30 rounds in the magazine at the start. I know there has been some hot debate recently about this, but it's 30 rounds in the magazine at the start, which is why for your initial magazine you would load it up to 31, because then you have 1 in the chamber, 30 in the round for the 30 in the mag, and then for your other magazines you'd have 30 in there. That's the only mag restrictions on practical. In terms of mag restrictions, in terms of a law, we're very lucky in that we have no magazine restrictions at all within the UK. I say within the UK, technically that's incorrect. Within England, Scotland and Wales, absolutely no restrictions on magazines. Anybody of any age, with or without a license, can go and buy a magazine. They are not a licensed part. There are no capacity restrictions. We have I have a 100 round drum mag for a 1522, 50 round drum mag for a 1522, and there are people with 100 round beta mags, I think, for the RØDE. They're floating out there. You see them pop up occasionally. The only place that does have within the UK that actually does have some sort of magazine restriction is actually Northern Ireland. Now, I don't know the full ins and outs of it, but they do class it as a firearm, and you do need to have a firearm certificate to be in possession of a magazine. I believe that's correct, because I think it's Blackstone. I think you've already given away the fact that you're in Northern Ireland, but so I believe Blackstone placed a pre-order recently, and we're going to have to make sure that it's sent out to his RFD and not him directly, because it would be the same as sending out a barrel here within England, Scotland and Wales. It needs to go via an RFD transfer. This is why you should most definitely not take your own magazines over to Nizza. The airport security get very, very upset, and there's been a number of GB shooters that have gone over there with Glock magazines, because there's a lot of people that shoot abroad, and they have their own Glock mags, or even had the unfortunately now confiscated lever releases that used Glock mags, so they would take their own, and obviously them being a controlled component of some kind, airports don't really like when you take controlled components on. Usually, so far, I've heard it's just a slap on the wrist. It's a look, you genuinely didn't know. I mean, it doesn't usually fly for accidentally taking controlled firearm components in your hand luggage on a plane, but the Northern Irish just seem to be a little bit chilled about it. So yeah, it's usually a slap on the wrist, and they're not coming with you. It's like, oh fuck. So yeah, don't take magazines out to Northern Ireland. It really isn't worth it. Plus, if you're going out to Nizza, they've got more than enough magazines to go around, so you really don't need to worry about it. Mochaccino Stage 10 was a blast of smoke for me. I don't know what you mean for that. That stage, fucking that stage, suck a dick. Although I was incredibly jammy on the long rundown stage, incredibly jammy. Now I have to say, I am usually especially. I'm becoming worse for it now. I'm going to regret saying this, because now ROs are going to look out for it. I am definitely becoming more gamey, and I don't mean necessarily within stage plan. Now that I understand the ins and outs of rules and reshoots, I did end up pushing quite heavily. I think it was stage 4 that was the long run, or stage 3 that was the long rundown at Llanbradach. Or the Welsh Mini Rifle Championships, and it was a big stage. I think the biggest of the match. A lot of points up for grabs. You didn't want that one going to shit. And lo and behold, because of the magazine issue that we'd had previously, and we hadn't diagnosed it as a magazine issue, we stripped everything, because when we little bit of magload marketing here, but it's not actually marketing. When we say competition proven, and it's a slogan that we use a lot, we fucking mean it. Not just because the top 10 competitors consistently within matches here are using our gear, but because we test our shit, like prototype test within competitions. It is the only way to really, design and test and see if it runs. So, Lambradix last year, we had a prototype CMMG firing pin, which have now been released. We had the bolt weight in there, I think a buffer, and also the charging handle insert death jam preventer. Now, Connors had made some design tweaks. We were running new things, and on the second stage of the day, we both get this jam, unbeknownst to us, purely down to the fucked 1522 magazine. But we went, right, we don't know what it is. We are at a level 3. We don't want this to happen again to that degree. Let's strip everything out of the gun. So took out all the upgrade components, and guess what? The death jam preventer that we removed, I get a death jam. Death jam on the longest stage of the day. Absolutely horrid. I ended up disassembling the gun on the stage. And of course you're not allowed to be away from the gun, so you can't split it entirely. But took the takedown pin out, got the bolt sort of out, cleared the death jam, and of course this is taking me absolutely forever. And amongst all of this, because my procedure for clearing a jam is always drop the mag. It's you're not in a life or death situation. You've usually got a backup or a spare mag. Get rid of the mag and clear the jam, and then put a new one in it. And this is probably an argument for not doing that. Drop the mag, clear the jam, disassemble the gun, cleared it, got to the end of the stage. Unfortunately, my backup magazine was the 17 rounder. Still quite a lot of targets to do. So I'm going, and I know it's coming. I know it's click, fuck. I know there's a magazine pretty much fully full up down the stage, and I completely 180. I shout I'm going back, and this is where I probably could have been a little bit more gamey. Shout that I was going back, but I still turned and ran so quickly that I ended up having to, the RO and also Connors, who was filming, they couldn't react quick enough, and I got to the point where it's if I carry on running backwards at the speed that I want to run, I am quite light on my feet, I'm going to end up pointing a muzzle at something. I'm going to blow past the RO and Connors. They're going to be downrange to me, and someone's going to have a muzzle pointed. So ended up finishing the stage, and knowing the rules, I just said to the RO, I want to reshoot. And this is I don't feel proud of this, but this is understanding the rules, and in a higher level match, it can make the difference. Because if I'd have zeroed that stage, which I probably would have on the time alone, that was it. There was no way I was coming anywhere near the top 10. So I said to the RO, look, I know that in actual fact, it probably cost me a few seconds having to slow down for you guys to sort of get past me and get some distance. However, the RO has interfered with the shooter on a stage. And because it was all filmed, they called another more experienced RO, and they looked at the footage, and it was it didn't matter that I had spent a minute and a half trying to clear this fucking jam. The fact that I'd been held up by the RO in some way, I was able to get a reshoot, and I didn't have the jam, and didn't do too badly on that stage overall. Certainly a lot better than the first time I did it. So yeah, it's just about knowing the rules and knowing way. But I hate that. I don't, there's not necessarily shootings in the UK. I think in the UK we're actually really quite fair, and we try it on here and there. Oh, that's an alpha, not a Charlie, things like that. I know there's some nationalities out there within IPSC that are notorious for playing silly buggers with the ROs and with the rules and stuff like that. But yeah, all's fair in love and war. If the rules say something and you can use the rules to your advantage, fucking use them. And at the end of the day, it's the RO's decision or the match director's decision at the day, and you've got to go with that. Rick B, I remember diving into the bushes out of the way as I heard you shouting coming back on the stage. Yeah, sorry about that. At least I warned you. Like, again, so the really gamey thing, and this is where I think the line is between competitors is very well drawn, is what would have been the, like, dropping the magazine. Like, I had a genuine reason to go back, right? I gave the warning and I still got held up. What some shooters have been known to do in the past is not give any warning and for no reason either back up into the RO. So if the RO touches you, if not in that way, but if they touch you, they've interfered with you. I mean, the wording sort of lends itself, right? So if they've interfered with you, show me on the Bear Timmy where he touched you, then you get a reshoot. But there are shooters that will purposely bump into an RO or purposely run past an RO so that they get the reshoot. But I tried to do everything possible to, but I saw the opportunity, I took it. Don't what's the word? I've gone blank now. Don't think less of me. Looking forward to PSG and Lambradix. Yeah, I was gutted. I can't remember what I was doing that weekend, but I couldn't make it for the PSG last year. A lot of people said that the PSG match was, again, to the same ilk as the mini rifle. Just absolutely incredible because of the range that they've got there, because of the topology and what they can actually do. So this year, I'll probably be shooting at section 2 still, but I'm still going to go and do it. It should be an absolutely amazing match. Andy, how's the pre-order and sale of your 1522 mags going? So for those of you that don't know, I'll bring them up. I was actually going to show those because there's been a number of new products. I'll just whiz through them quickly. So those of you that don't know, I run Magload with Connors, and we're constantly trying to bring out new and interesting products. So this was actually released today. A lot of people have asked for this Magwell for a very long time. So it's our Element Magwell for the 1522. And I know a lot of people are going to be saying, but you already make a 1522 Magwell. I'll get onto that in a sec. Along with a full upgrade kit now that we've released the bolt weights, they were released yesterday. You can buy a full upgrade kit. So it's our firing pin, our insert, and also the bolt weight. And also what was released was the bolt weight. It's not the full bolt, it is literally just the bolt weight. If you've got a CMMG conversion kit and you want to be running, or you are running, high velocity ammunition, strongly advise that you have a bolt weight on it. It reduces the amount of dirt build up because they do get very dirty with high velocity, and a number of factors that will increase reliability. What they have a habit of doing, certainly with high velocity ammunition, is the bolt will smash into the back here and you can get a breakage. At the end of the day, this isn't intended for high end sort of competitive use. It's meant to be a training aid for 223 rifles. It's not built to see the sort of wear that some people put them through. So having a bolt weight helps. Well, first of all, it gives a much larger contact area on the back to absorb the impact. It's also not impacting at the very top of it, so leverage, and also because of the weight, it slows it down, makes less of an impact. And recently, we finally released a general enlarged shotgun bolt release. So this is, if you've got a drilled and tap, or you want to drill and tap your shotgun bolt release, you can now fit a button. But yes, the sort of big news was the magazines. Thank you very much for asking. It is going surprising hell of a lot. Well, I say a hell of a lot. A lot of people are asking for them, but it's exceeded expectations. So for those of you that don't know, we are making I think we are going to change the name slightly, and I think it's going to end up being called the AR-22 magazine, but it is a 2.2 long rifle AR-15 magazine that is compatible in a whole host of different guns. So the 1522, anything with a better mag adapter, and also with a small add-on, you'll be able to use it with a Tipman, a Chris Defiance, and all CMMG converted rifles. So the reason we've got the better mag, obviously the better mag, it doesn't need anything, but we're going to effectively make our own better mag that will attach to the magazine, so that you don't need to run the better mag. You can just literally just whack it into the gun straight away. So they are on pre-order, and yeah, it's been absolutely crazy. We've been blown away, and that is also the main reason that we did the pre-order on the magazines, because it was like, it's like our customers, which is a lot of you guys, and I don't want to sit here and complain, because you're the reason that we keep the lights on, but there is never ever a way of guessing what products are going to be popular. Like, there are things like the bolt weights. So many people said, really, I'm looking forward to your bolt weight, and it's just like, what's the one that like really just blew us out of the water? Oh yeah, the firing pins. 1522 firing pins. Like, the CMMG firing pins was like, cool, yeah, number of people said they were interested, like, you know, ticking away. The 1522 firing pins just went absolutely mental. Connors is already doing a second run of them. We only released them like 2 weeks ago. Again, it sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not. It's just, like, literally cannot guess where a product is going to go on the first launch. So one of the big reasons of why we did the pre-order for the 1522 or the 22 AR-15 magazines was we didn't want to like get 200 in and then find that we had 300 pre-orders, you know. So I think we've now upped the number. I think we're like at least 2, if not 3 or 4 times, which again is great. You know, it's fantastic. It sort of exceeded demand. Got a couple of dealers as well that are interested in being the first to hold stock of them. So yeah, they seem to be really well receptive. So yeah, thank you. If you have pre-ordered already, thank you very much. And yeah, we really want to try and beat May, but obviously we're out in America for like 3 weeks. But yeah, the injection molders are working on it. We are hoping at the very least it will be early May, but we're saying May, just May, just that's the official line, but we will try our hardest to get them out. But yeah, what we want is, you know, we don't just want to fulfill the pre-orders on the first batch. We want to make sure that everyone that wants one gets one, but also we hold stock. This is one of the biggest reasons of us investing in making these magazines, is that the 1522 magazine supply, which everyone else uses, is sporadic. Like, you know, sometimes people have hundreds of them and then you can't get one for 6 months, and you know, the price has also gone astronomical. They used to be 20-25 quid, now they're 35-40 quid. So yeah, one of the biggest reasons that we wanted to do this was consistent supply. If you're depending on these for competition, and you know, magazines are a consumable part. It wears out, it breaks. If you have no magazines, you can't compete. So you need, you know, we want to sort of offer the fact that you can, you know, we always have them in stock. If you damage it, you lose one wears out, you can come and buy another. You don't have to wait, you know, 3 months and pay effectively double retail for the magazine. But yeah, going well. We've got all the other stock in for it, so it is literally just the injection molded parts of the magazine. We've got, I believe, I'm not going to go into specifics, some parts are still going to be SLS 3D printed. The main body will be injection molded, of course, but all of the hardware, so all of the inserts and bolts and the springs, they're all in stock. We've got fucking thousands of those now. So yeah, we're all set. We just need those plastic parts. As soon as they land, we are just going to be smashing them out as quickly as possible. And what I'm determined that we won't do is, what I want to do is post or send out all of the pre-orders on the same day. So then it's down to Royal Mail, but ideally I don't want, you know, some people getting them on one day and then people posting about it and going, well, I pre-ordered it and where's mine? Like, literally I want all the pre-orders to go out exactly on the same day. everyone gets them the next day and everyone's happy, and then still have stock. So yeah, it's going to be a busy few weeks when the plastic shells finally land. When will you do a 2.2 WMR version of the mag? As Daniel says, unfortunately, never, most likely. It's a hell of an investment, and I don't mean just monetary. Time, right? Magazines are by far one of the hardest things to do because they have one of the biggest factors on reliability and function of the gun. And just the time. I mean, Connor's now on his desk has a stack of two stacks of prototypes, which are costing us, to have printed, 150, 200 quid a pop. So that's just in the monetary cost in prototyping, but also every single magazine sat on his desk represents a good few days of design and CAD in tweaking and going back and forth with the injection molders. So there's a hell of a lot of time invested. There's also a fair amount of money invested in it, and the WMR market isn't big enough. Quite simply and harshly, and to not beat around the bush, it's just, we would love to. We don't necessarily want to just make stuff. We're known that people can come to us and we will make a one-off. It's not just about keeping the lights on. It's also about doing things that other people can't, and helping people out where other people haven't been able to. But it's just a huge thing. It's not a quick thing to knock out a magazine. Even the bases, even the mag bases that have been designed. I mean, Connor's spent, I think it was 2 years developing the K22 bases. He spent a good, I think it was 6 months, if not longer, making the 1522 base extension bases, and they're just extension bases. The full magazine, and also added to that is he's also in between going backwards and forth and waiting for prototypes to be printed. He's already been working on the next magazine project. So there is already another magazine in development. As soon as the injection molders are finished with this one, we'll be moving on to that, and it's another 2.2 magazine. I think I've said on stream what it is, but I won't. If you missed it, then you've got to go back and watch those other streams. All 2 hours of them each, and I can't remember which one it was, but it was within the last month or so. So that's at least 8 hours of stream you've got to go and watch if you really want to know that much. But yeah, it's just, at the end of the day, we are a business. We've got to look, something that takes a huge amount of investment like that in time and money. We just wouldn't sell in the same quantities. Never say never, and I will put it forward to Connors, but it is more unlikely than likely at this point. But yeah, that I think, did we talk about Hampshire FLD and the grants? No, I don't think we did. I was going to say that's it, but that's actually quite a big topic. So, I mean, before we start, I think I've told you about this one before. It's Beavertown Gamma Ray American Pale Ale, another one that is really easy to get in a multitude of supermarkets, and I highly recommend it. So, of course, some firearms licensing departments are still not accepting new applications for grants of... I've managed to be so positive this stream so far. Some aren't accepting new applications. Hampshire is one of those, saying that it's still due to the backlog that they have from COVID. Well, they haven't actually said that. They've said it was to help. That was to help GPs and the vaccination efforts and boosters and this, that, and the other. And it was like, so why are all the other ones still doing it anyway? If they came out and said, look, we have got a massive fucking backlog, we need a few months to get on top of it, perfectly, well, I'd say perfectly explainable, or perfectly understandable. Well, again, other FLDs have continued throughout without accruing a backlog. But anyway, they said that this was a couple of months ago. They said that they were going to review the situation on the 20th of March. Well, the 20th of March has come and gone, and I believe from a couple of people that have messaged and also said on Facebook that they are still very much closed. There's been no announcement. I mean, I'll go onto their website and just confirm. Meanwhile, Hampshire FLD, who are most definitely watching. Hello. I mean, it helps with the numbers. Like, you know, more viewers. I mean, you know, if you wanna drop a like as well, much appreciated. This is when they are scrambling to suddenly change it just to fuck with me. Wouldn't be the only thing. Here we go. No, I don't want to contact. I want to apply. I've wanted to apply for so long. Oh, fucking hell. I don't know if it's Google that's being shit or them. Apply for a new. Here we go. Oh, here we go. It's yeah, it's still the same. So I know, you know, there's a lot of viewers that are based in Hampshire. Let me get that over. Due to the continued impact of COVID-19 on our workload, we are temporarily unable to process any new grant applications. Renewal applications are still being processed. So yeah, it's like, just tweak it. Just say, you know, due to the backlog, you know, just bit of forthcomingness on that. So yeah, Hampshire is still not open, unfortunately. And I do want to clarify, I was actually talking with Connors today about it. There's been a lot of, well, I think criticism from myself on firearms licensing. That I don't see a problem with. You know, at the end of the day, they're a public body, they're a public servants. And I think, you know, it's not just myself. There's a lot of people that are questioning the performance and efficiency of some licensing departments. But I do just want to make it perfectly clear. I'm not anti-firearms licensing. I'm actually, I think if you look through pretty much every single video, I'm a very big supporter of firearms licensing. So to just get that out there, what I have an issue with is the inefficient management and, you know, ineffective implementation of firearms license. You know, Devon and Cornwall, for instance, that's what happens when you don't have effective and efficient firearm licensing departments. So yeah, I understand the hole that some firearms licensing departments have dug themselves in sort of not accepting grants and sort of closing, you know, shutting up shop for 18 months, 2 years. It is gobsmacking that some firearms licensing departments have still maintained a good service level where others have fallen through the floor. At the end of the day, that does just come down to difference in management and, you know, perhaps how effectively or efficiently each department is managed. But yeah, I'm not, you know, actually to a fair detriment, certainly to a lot of American tutors out there, I'm not anti-firearms licensing. You know, I want it to be run as well as possible, not for my own efficiencies in getting a license, but because we've seen what happens when it isn't. But yeah, still not processing applications. They've still obviously got a backlog. At least they are. I've heard people that have had previously submitted applications granted, and FEO interviews have started again, and they're doing renewals, I believe, and also the renewals. So it very much sounds like that they are clearing the backlog. Once that backlog is cleared, then they will open up for new applications. Unfortunately, you know, again, a little bit of transparency and, you know, what's going on. The 20th of March has passed. At least send out another message or an update or something like that to let everyone know what's what's going on out there. But yeah, it's just going to be a waiting game. Hopefully it's not too much longer, because I know, you know, people like Happy, as you've just sort of hinted at, you know, they've cost people money. There's people waiting there to get their application in, and you know, it used to be a bad enough wait as it was, when, you know, it's 3 or 6 months from submitting it, but you know, at the moment there's an indefinite wait, which is just, you know, it's so frustrating. And then you're going to have the 3, 6, 12-month wait on top of that. So yeah, hopefully things sort out. But yeah, I do think we've talked about it recently with many different aspects, with the National Firearms Licensing system, the database, and statutory guidance and things like that, and the fee increase, and there's change afoot. And I really want to be optimistic that we are going to see efficient and effective change, so that the guidance, that firearms licensing can be more efficient, and I think moreover more consistent across the country, and not have these huge disparities between forces. One can hope, one can wish. Henry, would you go for a GSG 1911 or a GSG Firefly? Also, any ideas on company in the UK that sells the bridge mount? So I did buy a Gen 2 GSG 1911. Not a bad gun at all, certainly a lot better than the Gen 1. It really, in terms of saying which one between, it depends what you want to use it for. There's a lot of people that really do rate the Firefly. The 1911 as a competition platform is a lot more, you know, suited, and certainly if you want to be going out and shooting 2011s out in the States or in Europe, is going to be a lot more you're going to gain a lot more from that sort of cross training. But I would say if you're looking at going the 1911 route, go and have a look at the Walther 1911, the Walther Colt Gold Cup. Overall, it's a much higher quality gun. It is a little bit more expensive, but I think you're getting your money's worth for that. That would be my pick. But it really depends what you want out of it. If you just want, you know, the like a good plinker, you know, you're going to go put, you know, a couple of 100 rounds through it every month, you know, then yeah, like, pick the gun that you like. Both have, like, the GSGs have, you know, fairly good reliability history now. They've seemed to, you know, they're still not the highest quality materials, but for just a plinker, you know, and you're not putting a huge amount of rounds through, it will be more than adequate. Then if you want something a little bit more competition focused, then that's when I would be saying look at the Walther PPQ, look at the Colt, the Walther Colt Gold Cup 1911, just slightly higher quality, slightly better suited. I think you'll get, if you're going to be putting a lot of rounds through it, you will get a lot better longevity out of that gun. Oh, I can't believe it's taken this long for somebody to, and of course it's you, Daniel, the Sig Sauer P322. How could I miss this out? How could I not talk about this? Mainly because all these people that seem to be, oh my god, they're going to make an LBP version, like, just, you know, fucking chill your beans, right? Just absolutely chill your beans. You know, how long did it take for LB? Like, yeah, just don't. So those, I think some people might be being slightly optimistic with this. But for those of you that don't know, this Sig Sauer have released a new 2.2 LR pistol. And it is, and I mean, like, I can get the optimism, right? You know, 21 round capacity standard, that's not bad at all. Let's have a little look at the video. Or not. But the reason I think people are getting optimistic about it, and I'll explain the whole process of why you shouldn't get your hopes up straight away. The reason people are is because it is screw cut for a moderator. Now, if it's screw cut already, there is a chance that it's going to be fairly easy to add something to the barrel to be able to give to get that 12-inch barrel length, because the whole thing about a barrel being 12 inches, it doesn't have to be rifled the whole end. You can add something to it which legally is defined as the barrel, even if the actual rifle part of that barrel is the original length. This happens with moderators. This can happen with muzzle brakes. Actually, there's a number of shotguns that in the past have had muzzle brakes, pinned and welded on there. But there might be a chance to do it. And in terms of adding a rod, that's fairly straightforward overall. A little bit of design, but it's really the barrel. The reason that I'm not getting my hopes up, and if this comes as a LBP, I mean, I remember the late Mike Jakes with the Icon Arms IP226. Let me get that one up there. It's been a long while since I've actually looked at that video. IP226. So a company a company called Mike Jakes. It was called Icon Arms, and I absolutely loved this because the reason this guy I just want to. Oh god, this was 7 years ago, FYI. The reason, I don't think I can bring myself to show it. I'll show you a still. So the reason he made this wasn't for profiteering or business. It was literally because he was a Section 5 and he had a 226. And he wanted his friends to be able to join him in experiencing the gun. So a fantastic reason. He was like, "This is all well and good. I've got all the toys a gun guy could wish for, but my friends can't join me. So what's the point?" Now, unfortunately, Mike Jakes was killed in I think it was a motorbike accident. And the IP226, there are some out there. There are some floating about, and they do come up on Gun Trader occasionally. I think they were a solid investment because there's people that will literally rip your arm off to be able to buy one. But that is the only the only sort of SIG long barrel pistol that is out there, and I think there were only 10, maybe even 20 ever made before Mike was tragically killed. Now, the problem that Mike had was this whole thing about Section 5, and once a gun has been in a Section 5 configuration, it can't come in and be converted. So he had to go and buy all of the parts from SIG individually, bring them all over as components, and then assemble it as a long barrel pistol. And the analogy that he used was, imagine going to BMW and buying an entire car's worth of spare parts. And he said, can you imagine the additional cost over the retail price of that car? And I mean, even back then, 7 years ago, I think it was £1,500 or £1,800, which is a hell of a lot of money for an LBP. And that was why he wasn't trying to price gauge. He was like, I'm really not making that much money out of them. And this may be the issue that we see with this the P322. First of all, are SIG going to allow the individual components to be shipped over here to enable an LBP to be made? Are they going, it's unlikely that Sig Sauer, as big a company as it is going to be interested in quite a small long barrel pistol market. And you can't go and buy you can't go out to the States or out into Europe, buy a load of these, pin and weld a longer, an extension on the barrel and put a rod on it, because that gun has been configured within a Section 5 configuration. You wouldn't be able to legally bring it in and put it under Section 1. So there's a lot of if, buts and maybes, and even if SIG and the Icon Arms IP226 is going to be the best like example of this and sort of the best gauge. If SIG do what they've done previously, which is yeah, you can buy every single component from us, but it's, you know, at this premium, and that was 7 years ago at 1,500-1,800 quid, the gun's going to be £2,000 plus. So yeah, that's why I'm not. I would absolutely love to be proven wrong. I'm sure there are already a number of people that are trying to get hold of SIG or are in talks with SIG, trying to either twist them into them making an LBP from factory, or to in some way facilitate an LBP being made through whatever means. But there's a hell of a lot more involved than you think. And you know, another issue I know from Mike was quantity. The reason, again, they were so expensive and why it took so long and SIG weren't really that interested was because of the quantities involved. You really need, you know, even quantities of 100 don't really tickle these manufacturers, not a company like SIG. So, you know, somebody goes up there and says, I want you to make me 100, or I want you to sell me 100 of these. They're like, who the fuck are you? You know, if you went to them and said, I want 10,000 of them, they probably would make an LBP, but the UK market just isn't that big. I think there's something, an entirety of maybe 300 or 400 PPQs bought into the country, total maybe 500. So, you know, it's just, yeah, that's part of the issue of it. So yeah, we'll wait and see. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't think we're going to see something anytime soon. It will be a little while. If a P322 LBP comes out, it will be made by GSG. Think about it. Yeah, like I know where you're going with that, given the history of the Firefly and Mosquito and all that. But we will have to wait and see. But anyway, before I head off, and I haven't nagged you about this the whole stream. Hit that like button. It's free. It takes a split second to do, and it makes a huge difference to the channel. But yeah, I am going to leave it there. Thank you everyone for joining this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it. I also hope, as always, that you have a fantastic shooting-filled week ahead. Be safe, shoot straight, and you know, again, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. We do this every single week at 7:30 UK time, 7:30 PM UK time. So yeah, we will see you next week, and there will most likely be a couple of videos out this week, a few in edit, and I'm trying to get the full match video for this weekend's match out as soon as possible, so you can see exactly how good it was. But again, a big thank you for joining. Hope you've enjoyed it, and of course, as always, I hope to see you soon.